Hello, I'm William Michael. I'm the founder and the current director of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, whose website you can see on the screen here. I'd like to talk in this video to and with private school administrators, board members, faculty members, even parents about how collaborating with us in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy can easily, affordably, and radically improve the quality of the academic program that you can make available at your private school. Just so you know, I have over 20 years of experience in private schooling, both as a teacher and as an administrator. I taught in upper school, private school classes as a classics teacher for about 10 years before I went into work on my own in education. I founded the Classical Liberal Arts Academy in 2008 because I had a desire to devote myself to research and restoring of a classical Catholic curriculum that had been lost. And we've been working exclusively with homeschool students since 2008, but we've begun more and more to work with private schools, adult students, even religious communities for classical Catholic studies in recent times. And I've wanted to reach out to private school administrators and offer some explanation for how our resources can benefit your schools and allow you to radically improve your programs, retain a higher quality, maybe even attract a higher quality of student to your school, achieve greater things without really having to do a whole lot to make things much better. So I'd like to ask you to hear me out on this, and if you're interested in talking more, just get in touch with me and we'll start to talk about how exactly we can help improve your school in particular with the products and services that we have available. So let me just begin by saying, like I said, I have experience in private schools. I understand both the greatness of private schools and the challenges of private schools. Private schools exist to pursue missions that go beyond the reach and scope of publicly funded school programs. That's what private schools are. Normally, in most communities in America, these are Christian schools that are aiming to serve Christian goals, and even more specifically, being a Catholic, I'm concerned about Catholic private schools. So we want to pass the Catholic faith on to the students in our community. So we form a Catholic private school. We accept all of the challenges of providing a private education without government funding, without all of those benefits. We have high standards and high ambitions, and we often have low resources. And this is the challenge of private schooling. Now, in your private school, you likely have a strong K-12 level program that covers all of the basic subject areas. So English language arts, mathematics, natural sciences, history and social studies, and likely a modern foreign language. Those 5 basic subject areas make up the core of the modern K-12 school curriculum. And most schools, because most people have a K-12 education, most schools can find quality teachers to cover those subject areas. But the problem is, even if you do that, all that you're offering is a public school education in a private school. And no one's really interested in paying private school tuition for a public school education. And while you can try to dress that up and say, oh, well, we've got Catholic culture and we're Catholic people and maybe we even have sacraments at school, it's really all fluff because no one needs to go to the private school for those things. I don't need to send my children to a private school and pay private school tuition so they can receive communion. We can receive communion in the parish. We don't need school to provide that. So we can try to add on all of these extra benefits, but we're really ignoring the chief need that the private school exists to supply, and it's extraordinary education. That's what we need from private schools. We don't need to have mass at school. We don't need to have, extracurricular events at school. We don't need sports at school. All of these things are available to us elsewhere. The essential need of the community for a private school is that we need extraordinary Catholic education. That's what we need. That's what we need the private school to provide. And in most cases, when we look at the private schools, we see that they're not providing that. They're basically providing a public school education with a private school tuition. A public school education within a private school community. And that just can't be accepted. We can't have private schools that are simply offering public school education. So the essential improvement that's needed in private schools is we've got to have private schools that offer real private school level academics. That's what's needed. That's what the tuition is for. And it's very difficult for private schools to do that for a number of reasons. If we take that core, and again, it's English, math, science, history, and foreign language. If we take that core, it's easy to find teachers and resources to serve those core subjects well enough. We can lead our students through all of the modern requirements. We can lead them to high school graduation and give them diplomas. We can even get them admitted to colleges. All of that is possible just with that core modern curriculum. But the private school has to do more than that. It has to do more. It has to offer more than just that private school curriculum. Normally, today at least, what Catholic schools do who want to offer more is they begin to branch out into what's being called classical Catholic education. They talk about classical education. We even hear talk about Catholic schools converting to become classical schools. But when we look at these schools, we find that when they talk about classical studies, it's very superficial. It's not real. If we're honest, it's the same curriculum with just a few things added on top. It's not really improving the quality of the academic program. It's just dressing it up a little bit and maybe making it a little more marketable, which is important, but in the end, people are going to see through that, and it's not going to work. And these schools rarely succeed. Now, they often can succeed because the other options are just so unattractive to parents that they're willing to send their kids to something that's at least trying to be better. But we're really not improving the quality of that academic program enough to make a difference. And that's the question. How can we improve the academic program enough to actually change the culture and make a difference academically and intellectually so that the program that we offer is worthy of being called a private school education? That's the challenge. Now, when I left my teaching post in 2008, this is what I wanted to establish. I was tired of teaching in one of these modern private schools, and I said, I want to restore a real private school program. I want to restore the real classical Catholic curriculum and make it accessible to students today. And that's what I did in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. We currently have close to 2,000 students enrolled, and we've been operating for 15 years now, and our program is extraordinary, and I'll show you a little bit of it in a few minutes. But what I'd really like to do is explain to private school leaders how we can work together and bring all of our resources into the service of your private school community and radically improve the academic culture of your school. Now, the challenges that you're going to face, if you decide you do want to expand your curriculum, let's say you want to pursue something of a classical education, so you want to add classical language studies, not just have modern foreign language like Spanish or French, but you want to add classical languages like Latin and Greek. You want to add the study of classical reasoning or logic. You want to add rhetoric classes, maybe even get into classical mathematics like arithmetic and geometry. Or you want to add some philosophy classes like ethics or metaphysics, or you want to get into classical literature and things like that. All of that sounds great, and the school board can sit together and the headmaster of the school can sit with the board members and they can talk about how they can improve the curriculum, and they can publish all the documents about how the curriculum is going to improve and get everybody all excited about it. But when the time finally comes to deliver that instruction to the students, normally the school administrator, the board members, the parents, they're dependent on some teachers coming or being found to actually provide that instruction. And those instructors in the 21st century are not going to be found. You can find people who are willing to teach a Latin class. You can find people who are willing to teach a literature class. You can find people who are willing to go through a textbook or to supervise a class. You can find people talking about the Socratic method, which is a bunch of nonsense. But what you're not going to find are real professional Catholic classicists who are able to teach those subjects effectively at the highest levels. And so your program, for all the talk, it's going to be superficial. It's not going to be very effective, and it's really not going to change anything. And in order to do that, you may have to hire new staff members, and in order to hire new staff members, you have to pull that money from other departments. And so your overall school program, in order to try to hire, let's say, a Latin teacher who turns out to really not be a very good Latin teacher, or to hire a literature teacher or a logic and rhetoric teacher, you're not going to find quality teachers. You're going to be hiring low-end teachers who barely qualify or don't even have teaching licenses to teach at a public school, coming along and taking these positions because they're easy to find jobs in because there's nobody qualified. And you're going to end up hiring a low-quality staff member who is supposed to raise the culture of the school, and it's just not going to happen. I'm going to tell you that plainly. It's not going to happen. Nobody's going to be deceived to think that some lightly educated teacher with no experience is going to radically transform the school and give these kids a real classical education. It's just not realistic, and it doesn't work in the long term. So you can keep going back to that, to that bad plan that's never going to work, or you can hear me out on an alternative that will work. And I can assure you it will work. And it's by collaborating with us and allowing us to help you to provide that instruction, assessment, support, record keeping, and so on for extraordinary courses that can be added to your school community and actually be conducted by expert teachers who are full-time, dedicated, professional Catholic classicists. You can add that quality to your school program by collaborating with us. It's actually very simple. And like I said, it's not going to cost anything because you've already got everything you need to be able to do this. And you're probably wasting money on things that aren't effective to begin with. So let's consider how this actually works. So let's look at your school program. You've got a daily school schedule, normally about 8 hours, maybe a little less. But you've got these 8 hours where the kids are in school on campus. And out of those 8 hours, how many are really devoted to academic activity? Maybe 5, maybe not even that much. So you've got 3 hours of time available where you usually spend that time on lunch and recess, maybe a phys ed class, maybe some elective stuff that's optional, not necessary. And then there's usually study hall periods where kids actually don't have anything to do. So there's time in the existing school schedule just as it is for kids who want to do more to be able to do more. There are also many kids who could be pursuing higher studies, but because your school doesn't make them available, are actually in lower level classes and are taking classes that they really shouldn't be in just because challenging options don't exist for them. So if we just look at the free time within your school schedule that kids have, and in classes where kids could be studying better things than they are studying, but they're not available, we have time in the school day to offer something more to the kids. Now, the second challenge would be staffing. You're not going to find quality classics teachers. You're going to waste money, in fact, trying to hire people to teach classes when those people you're hiring, and if you're honest, you'll admit this, they're not quality teachers. They're not experts in classical studies. They're lightly qualified, probably have bachelor's degrees just out of college, no teaching experience, no real expertise in their field, and you're bringing them in and paying them a full-time salary to really offer low-quality instruction in your school, and it's just a waste of time. You could keep that money and use it to maintain the strength of your core staff for those core modern subject areas and simply outsource classical instruction to us in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. You can simply outsource the classical instruction to us and have us work with you to improve the quality of your program, to serve your students, provide all of the study materials they need, all of the help that they need, instruction and support that they need from an outside source, but within your school by partnering with us. So I'd like to explain how that can work. Like I said, let's take the simplest case of all is that you've got a number of strong students who would like to pursue higher things, but you can't offer them because of your own staffing limitations. But these kids have study halls, or these kids have an elective that they really don't need, or they have a phys ed class that they don't really need, or they just have some time. They may even be willing to form an after-school club to pursue a study in a subject that can't be included in the normal school day, but can be added to their high school transcript as a formal course. So there's ways that we can find time and opportunity for these studies. Now, let's say we've got a handful of students interested in doing this. All that you would need to do to offer them the best classical studies to enrich their existing private school program is enroll those students with us for the courses that you'd like to offer and have them study during their study hall period or that after-school program time or in place of another course that they really don't need and would rather replace with a better course. They can simply study during those periods, during those times with us, use our resources, and have that added to their school experience, to their private school curriculum. You as the school can include those courses on their transcripts, and that makes your school look more impressive. That makes your school better in the sense that it can offer a richer curriculum for its students. It can offer them a more challenging program of study, and you really don't need to add anything to your school or staff to do so. The way it would work, if you look on the screen here with me, this is our main website, just so you know. So if you're interested in just learning about our program, getting to know more about who we are and what we do, you can visit our main site here at classicalliberalarts.com, and you've got all of this information up top here. You see there's an About Us page that introduces my wife and I, who founded the program. We're both full-time Catholic classicists. You can see our curriculum that we offer, all of the different subject areas and courses that we've worked to research and restore and make available to students. All of the different resources we have, but what's important here up top is the Study Center. If you go to the Study Center that we have, this is a Moodle website where students can create accounts and study online courses in our system. And if you scroll down to our course list, you can see these courses listed here, and they start with Latin vocabulary, Latin reading, classical grammar, Latin grammar, composition, all the way down through classical reasoning, classical rhetoric and poetics, down through all of the classical trivium studies, then down into the classical quadrivium. We have classical arithmetic, classical geometry, and so on. Down into philosophy, Aesop's fables, Theophrastus's characters, Aristotle's ethics, physics, metaphysics, Platonic philosophy, Aristotelian philosophy, Stoic philosophy, scholastic philosophy, down into Catholic theology, catechism classes, scripture classes, the Summa Theologica, and so on. Humanities classes, literature and history, modern studies like algebra and advanced mathematics, English grammar, and so on, all the way down through all of these subjects. So there's over 90 courses available in our program, and all of these courses are available to your students. Now, most of these courses, or many of these courses, you probably already offer, and you do a fine job offering those courses. But you can enrich your school curriculum by giving students the opportunity to study these courses while they're at your school, by simply creating an account in our study center and working on those individual courses during the available class time that's available to them in the school day. Your school can simply add these courses to their transcripts and greatly enrich the program that's available to your students. Now, all that it would take for you to do this is the students, well, there's a number of ways we can arrange this. First of all, students can enroll in individual courses through your school or directly through us and study them at your school. Or you could actually enroll with us as a school and create a school subscription and just make everything that we have available to your students for a very affordable cost that you can just pass on to the parents by dividing it among all of the parents and making a very slight addition to tuition to radically improve your academic program. So all of those complaints about this is a public school curriculum with a private school tuition, you can get rid of those complaints by saying, no, we actually have an extraordinary private school curriculum available at our private school that's worth every penny of our private school tuition. So you can simply have students enroll with us in courses that you'd like to add to their schedule, add to their course load, and we would actually work as teachers and tutors and support workers for those students in those courses on your behalf. We would keep all of their records. So throughout the study of the course, all of their grading, we would take care of that. Quizzes, we would take care of that. Assignments, we take care of that. All of their grades would be recorded through the year, and when they finished the course, they could simply report their grades to you in the office, or we could report the grades to you in the office, and you simply make those additions to their transcripts and radically improve the quality of program that's available to students through your school. So that's what's available. It's very simple to implement, and most schools are already doing things like they have kids working with Khan Academy resources or IXL and programs like that. And really, what is that? That's just modern studies. It's just more busy work for the same basic curriculum. This is different because this allows you to really expand that curriculum and do much more. It's far more valuable to a private school community than just adding some extra online activities for an already basic program. So You can radically improve the quality of the academic content available at your school. You can benefit from having the assistance of expert Catholic classicists working with your students on behalf of your school. And this can be something you present to prospective parents to attract better students whose parents are looking for more and are willing to pay for more, but you may simply not offer it. Well, now you can offer it without really changing much of anything in your private school program. So that's how the classical liberal arts can assist. And obviously there's a lot more to talk about, but in this video I'd like to simply introduce this to you as an option to give you something to think about if you're interested in improving your private school program and not just offering a public school education with a private school tuition, which nobody is interested in. And as time goes on, it's going to be increasingly true that no one is going to be willing to pay for a private school tuition for a public school education. So this is a way for you to radically improve the quality of your study program. If you'd like to discuss this more, we have a great opportunity to do that because it's springtime, not even springtime yet. It's early March right now as I'm publishing this video. We've got all spring and all through the summer to talk about how this can be implemented in your school. You can make arrangements for individual students in your school. You don't have to make sweeping changes that affect all students. You can keep the core of your basic student body just focused on their core curriculum. But for those students who can and want to do more, you can allow them to do more. There's another kind of student in private schools where you get, once in a while, you just get a genius. You get a really special individual student who you would love to keep in your school community, but you just can't hold on to him because he needs more challenging opportunities. And he ends up leaving your school to go pursue those challenges someplace else. This is, again, an opportunity to keep those students in your private school and allow their skills and their gifts to benefit the entire school community. This is a realistic solution for how you can do that. We offer the kids support 24 hours a day, all year round. They have access to their studies when they're at home, through the summer, during breaks. Their parents, if their parents have questions about these courses, they can simply ask us. You don't have to bear any of that burden. And we simply do it as partners with your private school because we understand that many families depend on private schools. They don't have the option to homeschool, to keep kids home and study privately. They really need to have their kids go to school for a number of different reasons. So that's not going to change. But to partner together and allow all of our experience, our expertise, our resources, our services to come and benefit your student body in your private school, I think you know what a great improvement that would make. And again, at almost no cost to your private school. So there are a few different options that we can discuss as to how this would be arranged. If it was really a small number of students, you might want to just pass these costs on directly to those parents to add this as sort of an optional program for their studies. Or it may be something that you want to subscribe to as a school with just a single payment, let's say a monthly subscription payment that makes it available to anyone who wants to make use of it, even outside of school. So that would be up to you, and we can talk about that and discuss solutions that would work. But this is our desire. Our desire is to offer our expertise as Catholic classicists, knowing how rare that expertise is, and make it easily and affordably accessible to your private school for the benefit of your students in the 21st century. And we've done that. We've already done it, and it's available. So it's a matter of now connecting with private schools, implementing this in private schools, and beginning to allow this program to enrich our Catholic private schools all over the country. So if you're interested, very simple, just get in touch with me directly, and we can schedule a phone call. We can schedule a Zoom meeting. I'd be happy to visit your school and talk about this. I can help you to implement it and get things set up I'd do anything that I can to help you succeed and add these studies to your school community. But just get in touch. You can contact me by email. My email address is simply WCM. Those are just my initials, William Charles Michael, WCM@classicalliberalarts.com if you want to send an email. Just introduce yourself, tell me what's going on, what you're thinking, what you'd like to do, and we'll get that discussion started. You can schedule for us to have a Zoom meeting, and we can just meet by Zoom and talk about whatever you're thinking, whatever you need, and we can have as many meetings as you need. Again, just get in touch and we can set up some meetings, or you can just give me a call. My mobile number is 980-699-5575. That's 980-699-5575. That's my personal mobile number. So really, it's just up to you. If you'd like to talk more about this, learn how to implement this in your school, and get started with a program like this to benefit your families, just get in touch and we'll get this rolling. We'll find a way to make it work, so you don't have to worry about that. This is my own personal apostolate and zeal. My own mission is to bring real classical Catholic studies into modern private schools in a way that helps those private schools, which are already strapped for finances and other resources just to cover basic curriculum needs. Let's work together to enrich your private school program and really bless the families that enroll in your school. I hope that's a helpful introduction. If you'd like to talk more, just get in touch. God bless.